If you've ever struggled to stay consistent in reading the Bible, you are not alone. Bible League International has created a free guide called 9 Tips to Get More of God's Word in Your Life. It's packed with simple, practical ideas to help you build a daily rhythm with Scripture and grow closer to God. Whether you're just starting out or want to deepen your time with the Lord, this resource can encourage you by helping you stay focused on His Word. To download your free copy, text Nicole to 94878. That's NICOLE to 94878.
Welcome to Christian Parent, Crazy World, the podcast that tackles tough topics to help you be a godly parent in an ungodly world. I am your host, Catherine Seegers, and in today's episode, we are asking some questions that every family should wrestle with. Questions like, what is your family's unique identity? And by that, I mean, why has God brought your family together? What values define your home? And how are you intentionally passing those values on to your children? Now, if those questions leave you feeling a little overwhelmed, don't worry, you are not alone. Most of us spend so much time keeping up with the day-to-day demands of parenting that we rarely stop to think about the culture we're creating inside our own homes. That's why I am so excited for you to hear today's conversation with Derek England. Derek is the Executive Director of Family ID, which is a ministry that has helped thousands of families move from simply surviving to parenting with greater clarity and intentionality. That's the ground we will cover in this episode of Christian Parent, Crazy World.
The largest and first fully digital generation needs more than content. They need the gospel and a community of disciple makers. Reaching Generation Alpha by Shane Pruitt and Shelley Melia is a research-informed guide to help parents and leaders navigate the unique challenges of today's youth, including shifting worldviews, emerging technology and AI, mental health pressures, and declining church engagement. You'll find clear steps to model authentic faith at home and church, engage tough conversations with truth and grace, and mobilize kids to live boldly for Jesus. Whether you're parenting, pastoring, or teaching, Reaching Generation Alpha will equip you to reach the next generation with timeless truth in an ever-changing world. Available now wherever books are sold.
I'm Christy Graham, host of the show On the Ground with Samaritan's Purse. I recently attended an infectious disease training and donned personal protective equipment alongside our staff who are preparing to serve at one of our Ebola treatment centers in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Dustin, one of our staff members, shared the why behind his desire to serve in the DRC amid this dangerous outbreak.
I want to be able to go to the ends of the earth for people that I haven't even met before, because that's what Christ did for me. He took on humility, he took on human form when he had no need to. And if he did that for me, there's just no appropriate response but to do that for others.
Hearing our staff's hearts behind the mission and putting on the personal protective equipment deeply impacted me. It reminded me of the armor of God and how we can put it on every day, no matter what we're facing. Listen to this behind-the-scenes episode by searching On the Ground with Samaritan's Purse, wherever you get your podcasts.
If you've ever felt like your family is constantly reacting instead of living with purpose, if you struggled to get everyone moving in the same direction, or if you've wondered how to create a stronger family culture in a world that is constantly pulling your kids away from your values, then today's conversation is for you. Now, before we jump in, a quick note. As my family and I are in the middle of moving to another state, I'm sharing a few of my favorite conversations from the archives, and this one is simply too good not to revisit. Today, I am talking with Derek England, Executive Director of Family ID, which is an incredible ministry that has spent more than 25 years helping parents build intentional, purpose-driven families. They have workshops and practical resources and even a completely free family assessment that has equipped thousands of families to clarify who they are, strengthen their relationships, and live with greater unity and purpose. Because the truth is, families don't drift towards health. No, they drift towards chaos, says the woman who's in the middle of a move to another state. I know something about chaos. But building a thriving home takes intentionality. And Derek is going to share with us today practical tools to help us get there and a lot of biblical wisdom that can help any family create a stronger foundation. So whether you're parenting toddlers or teens or somewhere in between, I think you're going to find this conversation just as timely as when we first recorded it. So with that said, let's jump right in. Derek, welcome to Christian Parent Crazy World. It's so awesome to have you here.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm really excited about today. It is a crazy world, so glad to be here.
Yes, I almost said welcome back. Our listeners don't know, we have been having technical difficulties. And I was just telling you, the more important the topic, the more technical difficulties I seem to have on the show, which says this is a very important topic because we're talking about families today. We deal with a lot of really tough cultural topics on this show, theological topics, apologetic issues. But none of that really matters if our relationships aren't strong in our family, if they're broken or they're not thriving or they're not all that they could be. And let me tell you, I was telling you in our first interview that had all the technical difficulties and our pre-conversation, your resources here, the Family ID resources here, are something I never really knew I needed. I thought, we kind of got this family thing down. We have a strong family. We homeschool. We do all of this kind of stuff. This is who we are. And the more I began to investigate your resources, I'm like, I'm a family podcaster, pretty much a parenting podcaster. And I'm like, I need this stuff. I don't have this down yet, Derek. And I know you get that all the time, don't you?
All the time. Because so until you think this thought about how important it is to be intentional in the family, until that thought crosses a thin veil in your brain and everybody's brain, my brain, it took sitting down for a Family ID workshop 12 years ago for me and for Gina, my wife, to have this thought. But until you think it, you don't think it. But once you do think it, you can't unthink it and you can't undo it. It becomes one of the greatest passions in your life and something that you have to do on a consistent basis.
This is foundational stuff. This is family 101, and somehow we're missing it. And, I feel like this is a much longer conversation for us than our listeners because we've been talking about it for a while now. But it's like every church you go to, they shove a personality test in your face, but they kind of do. It's like, here's your personality test and what are your giftings? It's all individual. That's right. And yet the family's God's plan for his kingdom. It's all about the family, and which is why the family is under such attack in our culture today. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Suffice to say, this is such a serious topic, such an important topic. And before we dive in, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your family, and how you came to be the executive director of Family ID?
Absolutely. So Gina, my wife, and I have been married for almost 21 years. And she and I, it was 12 years ago, we had little kids. They were 2 and 3 at the time. And we were looking for something to know how to do family right. There are tons of resources. We both came from different family dynamics. And so we wanted to make sure that we were doing it right. And I met Greg Gunn, who started and founded Family ID at a men's retreat. He started talking about some of the things that we're going to talk about today. And it hit me. And it was like, I had those exact same thoughts and feelings of like, why am I so intentional at work? I mean, I'll put all kinds of work and goals and measurables and 5-year and 1-year and 10-year plans and all kinds of stuff at work. Mm-hmm. Yet at home, I just kind of take it a day at a time.
Yeah.
And it hit me and struck me. And so Gina and I we went to a Family ID workshop. It was a weekend seminar, and we walked out of there with mission statement, vision statement, and core values. Essentially, this is our family identity, purpose, and direction. And so over the course of 10 or 12 years, we were putting it all together, and my kids have grown up under that, under the the direction and the intention of living those things out, guardrails and all of it. And so they are fantastic kids. They're incredible, and it has changed our family and the trajectory and direction of our family. And so about 5 years ago, I was doing residential home lending. I was doing mortgages and felt the call to get out of that and into ministry. And Greg called out of the blue, which is a tongue-in-cheek comment, but it was obviously the right time. He had an opportunity available. I stepped over, and he and I have been growing this, developed a team, put it together, and our goal is to reach 30 million families with the message of Family ID and helping them to live with intentional direction inside the home.
Amen. That's so awesome. I tell you, I'm just kind of just a little bit jealous when I'm listening to you talk about this. I'm like, I wish I discovered this so long ago. Because and you're so right. We have all these metrics for work. We have all these metrics for sports. My kids, they're playing baseball and softball, and they measure everything, like absolutely everything. We have measures for my podcasting and how many downloads did you get and how many views did you get on that article? How many books do you sell? And to some degree, we even have it in marriage, which anniversary, how long have you been married? And, you kind of have these certain things that you want to do in your marriage. And that's also another good place to kind of have assessments and draw vision for what you want your marriage to be. But it's like, we virtually have no metrics or things to measure our family by, and I'm not saying in a competitive sense, obviously, but just what is my family about? Because we know that God works through the family. So each family is individual. It's the beautiful snowflake analogy, a much better one than we're using in our culture today, but that we're all different. We're all beautifully unique with a different design for a different purpose. So I'm so excited to talk to you about this today, because we know that our family is under the family is under attack, which isn't news to anybody, right? We talk about that all the time on this show. I'm sure you get that all the time too, in the work that you do. I think though we're kind of taken aback. I suspect you are too. You've parented long enough that you're a little taken aback at the acceleration of how divided we've become in the families, how we're in so many different places with all of these devices, and how you've created some tools there to really help us unify. And I think we all are sitting here going, okay, how do I go to one of those weekends? But you've digitized all of this, right? To where you can actually do it online now. And you can do it with your small group from your church, or you can, I'm sure you travel and stuff. You can bring something like this to your church as well, can't you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you're right, we have. So we made a decision a couple of years ago that we want every family to receive this and go through Family ID. And so we have a couple resources and tools that we've developed that are totally free, that somebody can go to our website, take the Family ID assessment, which is like a personality test, go through that. And then they can go through the Family ID Masterclass, which is what Gina and I went through 12 years ago. And it's highlighted, it goes through videos and worksheets, and it's really, really simple. I think there's like 45 minutes of video. So it is not overwhelming. It is not daunting. It takes you step by step to go through, and you can walk away with identity, purpose, and direction, and then application on how you put these things into practice.
Now, are those what I was understanding when I heard you talk about it before? Those are smaller. You're saying 45 minutes total. They're smaller videos, right?
Oh, there's like there's 11 3 to 5 minute videos,
and those are free too, right?
Totally free. All of it's free. All of it's free, because
I can't wait to do that.
We want families to go through this. We want to be able to partner with other organizations that offer this, and we don't want cost to be a barrier to partnering with other people. And we still do live seminars and workshops where we can come to a church or an organization and walk groups or congregations of people through the Family ID process. And at the end of that 1 day or 2 day process, everybody will walk out with core values, mission statement, vision statement, and understand who they were created to be.
And that masterclass that you can take for free, which the 2 to 3 minute videos, like 11 of them, that will get you to that point as well.
Yep. Covers all the same material.
Sign me up, man, because I am so excited. No, seriously, we do a weekly devotional. And frankly, I haven't been thrilled with the one that we're doing at the moment, but I'm like, this is absolutely perfect because we still have a 7 and 9-year-old with shorter attention spans. We got older kids that can, but I mean, my kids, those little kids can hold on to one of those videos for a few minutes and then just walk through it. I'm so excited to do this. And I'm going to be reporting back to you exactly what our core values are, because you're going to talk about your family and your family type, and I am going to reveal my family type in a little bit. But before we get into all of that good stuff, I want to set the stage for it. Let's talk about God's design for the family in the first place. Like, what did he intend for the family to be? Because I don't think we're seeing that fully. Certainly it's under attack in our culture, but we need that plumb line, don't we? To go back to what was his original intention when he created the family.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you're bringing us back, because I can get pretty operational and just throw the resources out there because I want everybody to go through it. But you're right. So obviously God's plan was one man and one woman. And there's a teacher, his name is Ray Vander Lane, one of my favorite Bible teachers, and he gives historical, biblical, cultural, and geographical context for what we read in God's word. And there's one of his lessons that he talks about how in the Middle East, in biblical times, it was a patriarchal structure. And I know that word can be triggering. It has a negative terminology and tone today, but not in an abusive way in any way, shape, or form. It is this is the way that it was set up. And that patriarch was the one who was responsible for stewarding the family. Mm-hmm. He was the greatest servant of the entire family. And his job or his role was to make sure that the whole extended family, sons, daughters, cousins, aunts, uncles, everybody in that family, that they were not lost. And his job was to use all the resources of the family to seek and find those that were marginalized or lost in the family. And so when we think about that, I view God uses family terms, God the Father, Christ the Son. It is a family. In Romans, it talks about how we are sons and daughters to the Father and heirs with Christ. And so it is family terms that God relates to us because that was his goal. The family is designed to be the first and most important ministry for any unit.
The largest and first fully digital generation needs more than content. They need the gospel and a community of disciple makers. Reaching Generation Alpha by Shane Pruitt and Shelley Melia is a research-informed guide to help parents and leaders navigate the unique challenges of today's youth, including shifting worldviews, emerging technology and AI, mental health pressures, and declining church engagement. You'll find clear steps to model authentic faith at home and church, engage tough conversations with truth and grace, and mobilize kids to live boldly for Jesus. Whether you're parenting, pastoring, or teaching, Reaching Generation Alpha will equip you to reach the next generation with timeless truth in an ever-changing world. Available now wherever books are sold.
I'm Christy Graham, host of the show On the Ground with Samaritan's Purse, and I recently attended an infectious disease training and donned personal protective equipment alongside our staff who are preparing to serve at one of our Ebola treatment centers in the DRC.
This is really putting into perspective what our teams do.
Listen to this behind-the-scenes episode by searching On the Ground with Samaritan's Purse, wherever you get your podcasts. Again, that's On the Ground with Samaritan's Purse.
And it is the family of God. We say that kind of term all the time. Is the family of God composed of all of these little individual families that have their unique purpose in his kingdom, unique purpose, contributing towards his purpose. And, we become such an individualistic society. We see ourselves so differently than I think a lot of people saw each other and the family throughout history. I want to get to that in just a second, but I want to touch on, I really appreciate that you mentioned how triggering the term patriarchal can be, because we've seen the abuse of it historically, where the father wasn't necessarily acting in this manner. And I've interviewed a woman named Nancy Pearcey, and she wrote an amazing book, The Toxic War on Masculinity. And I've read her work for years, other books of hers. I had no idea when you looked into like her introduction, her family life. Actually, they were a religious family. They were in church. Her father had one persona to the church, this very godly man, and was a holy terror to live with. So much she had to go on medication, like for anxiety issues and stomach problems, just horrible. And you see this, and she's still come out. Her book, The Toxic War on Masculinity, is how we've attacked masculinity in our culture and what God intended it to be. And even though her personal experience was one where she, and I think we need to recognize this. Maybe this is why we had to redo the episode. There are probably people that are listening who had terrible home,
Absolutely,
life experiences growing up, and perhaps abusive families. Nancy Pearcey did. And yet she recognizes who God created the father to be, who he wants the father to be and the mother to be in a home. Perhaps it was a mother that was abusive in an upbringing situation. And a lot of families are having to work through parents are having to work through trauma of their own and their own upbringing, and hoping and praying, how can I create a healthy environment going forward? And I love that your tools really help us to do that. But also, there's that healing the Lord wants to do in families, because that is it. There's a connotation with patriarchal that it is domineering and authoritarian and abusive. That's not God's intention. And he says it in the New Testament too, that the husband is supposed to love his wife.
That's it.
As Christ loved the church. And how did he love the church? He sacrificed him for the church. That is the patriarchal role that has unfortunately been tainted by people who have misused it and abused it, but that's not God's intention with it. And the other thing that I wanted to mention was how countercultural from the beginning the family was. In that Middle Eastern culture, when the first 5 books of the Bible were written, when Genesis was written, it was common in those homes that the family would go out and get a wife for the husband and bring her back into the family. And they would kind of create these dynasties, these big, super big families. That's not God's vision. He said that the husband's supposed to, or the man is supposed to leave his father and mother, take a wife and cleave, and they form a new family unit. And that it is families begetting families, where you're respecting and honoring and loving and having those grandparents a part of your family, but then you're starting something new. And you say something about that I think is so beautiful, about how these new branches have their own purpose and their own new identity, don't they?
Absolutely. And that's what a question that we get so often plays into that. And it is the question that we get from families is, how do I have this multi-generational vision for my family and make sure that the next vision or the next generation lives on it? How do I push my vision down to the next generation? And Greg and I were sitting in the office one day trying to process this question, and it hit us that it was the wrong question, that it was focused in the wrong direction. Because it shouldn't be about what am I doing to push my vision down to the next generation, but it should be, how do I push the next branch, the next generation, up towards the sun, S-U-N or S-O-N, right? Because each branch is completely unique. It takes 2 individuals that have never been married before, puts them together, and creates a new culture and a new purpose and a new calling for what God's going to do in that branch. And our calling is, like what we were saying, is to be the greatest servant. So how do I think of a tree, think of a family tree where there are gigantic, huge, strong limbs, I think you'd call them, right, that are thick. And then each branch comes off of that, but that limb has to be strong. and foundational and to support each and every future branch. Something we say in Family ID is that we have to be a part of something that is bigger than us, but better because of us. So think about that. A tree is bigger than one individual leaf, but the tree is better because of all of the leaves. And so that's the way that our family is. Our family did not start with us, and it will not end with our kids. It started way back at the beginning, and it will continue all the way to the end. And so we have to understand we're part of something bigger than us. And how do we support the next branch? How do we push the next branch up towards their calling and what God wants to do in their lives?
I love that so much, because too often I think in the body of Christ as well, we want to live on something old, that's something God was doing before. And no, God's doing something new. He's doing something new. And I'm not at that point where my kids are married and have children of their own, where they've started their own families. But someday, I've got 5 little branches here that are going to get married. They're going to start their own families. And then it becomes about, how can I support who God's creating each of these family branches to be, right? How can I be a part of that? And one thing I say at the end of every show is that you, as a parent, you hold the key to unlocking who God created your kids to be. You hold that key because you've got a front row seat to see all of the giftings, all of the talents, all of the unique characteristics about each child. And then somebody else comes into their life and joins with them. And then it's going to happen someday. They're going to leave and cleave and start this new, beautiful thing that isn't what the old is. And one thing I mentioned to you before was I was contemplating on, okay, where did this deterioration end? Through much of human history, we had a very different dynamic in the family for not just centuries, but for millennia. The son of a fisherman was a fisherman, right? The son of a carpenter was a carpenter. That's why Jesus was a carpenter, because Joseph was a carpenter. The son of a blacksmith is a blacksmith. The son of a king is a king. And so what you would see was this kind of share, I think, for many millennia, I think families kind of understood their identity in the context, and that's not how we should define our identity anyways, by what we do. But I think there was more a sense of shared purpose and somewhat of an identity in centuries past. But that kind of started to unravel in our country. And this was also goes back to Nancy Pearcey's book on the toxic war on masculinity. She talks about how radically the Industrial Revolution altered the family. Suddenly you had, the farmer husband working alongside the farmer wife with the kids who get up before the crack of dawn and go out to the, feed the chickens and take care of all the livestock. And, everybody was in a common purpose and they understood. But suddenly with the Industrial Revolution, we have all these factories springing up, and men were taken out of the home 12, 14, 16 hours a day. And they have this whole other life. And a lot of us, not everyone, some people are blessed to not live in that kind of dynamic. But my husband right now is 20 miles away in the downtown area working. Even on a Saturday, he gets other days off. They vary from week to week. But, his industry, he's gone 50, when you add in commute, 60 hours a week at least. There have been times it's been worse, 70 hours a week. Sometimes, that's a long time to be away from your family. And so then the wife becomes the principal disciplinarian. And now we also have a lot of instances of single parent families where divorce or tragically one family member has passed. I was just on Instagram last night. I'm not on there a lot. I really don't like it that much, but I was watching these videos of this woman whose husband, they have 6 kids. He was diagnosed. He has a rapid onset like MS. And he's had to go to assisted living. And so we live in this world where we're disconnected all the time. And a lot of our kids are in public schools or private schools, and they're away from us for most of their waking hours, Monday through Friday. And then they go do extracurricular stuff. We're so divided. If we're not intentional about the family, we will die as a family. We can't thrive as a family if we're not intentional about it. And frankly, I'm realizing as I'm going through your stuff, I'm so excited to share this with everybody, that we can be far more intentional, really defining what is it about us that God created to impact the world? Who exactly are we? So let's dig into this family identity and exactly how that works. You've defined what, like 16 different types of families that we might end up being?
That's right. So we have, I think you touched on the question there and you asked it just right, Catherine. It is, who are we? Who are we? Because we can go in so many different directions that life becomes so hectic that we never sit down and actually answer the question, hey, who are we? Guys, who are we as a family? And I think that naturally happened probably prior to that industrial revolution, when there was time, there were meals together, there were conversations around a table, not picking up a bite to eat on the way to this practice. And that parent takes that kid to, like, there's all kinds of stuff. And so it's not daunting or complicated to sit and intentionally ask the question, as long as we are not afraid of the answer on, okay, guys, who are we? Who are we? Who are we as a family? What do we stand for? And even if we're not together, how do we go continue our identity in what we're doing separately? So we, as an England family, and then I'll get into the 16 types, is we as an England family, one of our core values is excellence in everything. And so I know, because we've had conversations about it, that where Gina is, or where my daughter is, or my son is, or where I am, that they and I will do our absolute dead level best at whatever we're working on. And I hope that it is reflected and people see the England family as, man, they really care about excellence. They do things excellently. And so that can be and is part of our core identity, because we intentionally asked the question and answered the question, who are we? Well, we're the Englands. And one of the things the Englands do is they have excellence in everything. They don't have to be the best, but we'll do our best.
Yes.
And so it was. So we took, we ministered to tens of thousands of families, and we saw certain tendencies in families and commonalities. And it turned out, as we dug into it, that the way a family approaches 4 core principles inside their home: identity, purpose, direction, and application. And how they prioritize those in a 1, 2, 3, 4 order changes or influences that culture and the dynamics inside the home. And culture, all I'm saying is it answers the question, this is how we do things around here. This is how we do things. That's as deep as culture has to be. The traditions, commonalities, practices, foods, music. I mean, this is just how we do things around here. But we found those commonalities, and we broke it down into 16 different family types and created an assessment to help families understand which family type they are. And the benefit of that is it doesn't answer all the questions. It doesn't answer the question, hey, who did God uniquely create you to be? But what it does is it gives a common language and gives an insight and a quick rundown of some tendencies that might be in your home. I'll give you an example. There's one family type that's called the impactful family. And the culture inside that home is that their highest priority is to go make an impact in society or community around them. Well, if that's a great tendency, that's a great characteristic. I love that. But if they're not careful, they can have, let's say, 5 people in the family going in 5 different directions to make impact in 5 different areas that are important to them. Now, imagine if you had alignment in taking those 5 people and they can say, oh, you know what? We all agree that impact needs to be made over here. Let's go impact together. Well, then you have synergy, working together. They can accomplish much more because you have a family moving in the same direction at the same pace for the same purpose. And it's crazy powerful.
That's such a great example, because you're building your family identity and your relationships when you've organize yourself around a common purpose. And I
That's
love
right.
like that first value that you have. That's something you can really explain to a very young child. Like we have excellence in everything. Share your other. Everybody's going to get jealous when they hear that you guys know exactly what and your kids know exactly what your values are. Share exactly what those are for us, because I
Sure.
think they're awesome. I'm going to steal maybe a couple. Actually, we're going to go through the whole thing, and then you have suggestions, so you don't have to formulate these on your own, do you?
That's right.
That's brilliant, because I think, okay, when I first heard yours, I'm like, well, how am I going to boil it down? But you've done a lot of you've done the legwork. We just have to kind of examine these and say which ones fit. It's like going to try on, you're going to try on these things where you're like, well, these really resonate with my family. And some of yours really do. I think they're awesome. All of them are awesome. But tell us what your core values are as a family.
The largest and first fully digital generation needs more than content. They need the gospel and a community of disciple makers. Reaching Generation Alpha by Shane Pruitt and Shelley Melia is a research-informed guide to help parents and leaders navigate the unique challenges of today's youth, including shifting worldviews, emerging technology and AI, mental health pressures, and declining church engagement. You'll find clear steps to model authentic faith at home and church, engage tough conversations with truth and grace, and mobilize kids to live boldly for Jesus. Whether you're parenting, pastoring, or teaching, Reaching Generation Alpha will equip you to reach the next generation with timeless truth in an ever-changing world. Available now wherever books are sold.
I'm Christy Graham, host of the show On the Ground with Samaritan's Purse. I recently attended an infectious disease training and donned personal protective equipment alongside our staff who are preparing to serve at one of our Ebola treatment centers in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Dustin, one of our staff members, shared the why behind his desire to serve in the DRC amid this dangerous outbreak.
I want to be able to go to the ends of the earth for people that I haven't even met before, because that's what Christ did for me. He took on humility. He took on human form when he had no need to. And if he did that for me, there's just no appropriate response but to do that for others.
Hearing our staff's hearts behind the mission and putting on the personal protective equipment deeply impacted me. It reminded me of the armor of God and how we can put it on every day, no matter what we're facing. Listen to this behind-the-scenes episode by searching On the Ground with Samaritan's Purse, wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey friends, it's Catherine here. If you're trying to be a godly parent in this wild and wacky world, you need all the help you can get. And I've got you covered. When you subscribe to my website, you'll get instant access to tons of free resources made just for Christian parents. You'll get my Prodigal Bundle, which is packed with every podcast, article, and scripture list I've created for parents walking that tough prodigal road. You'll also get my free ebook, Beyond the Lies, uncovering 5 myths the culture spreads to mothers, plus powerful scripture lists to pray over your kids, and even scripture songs to help your family hide God's word in your hearts without even trying. And of course, I'll keep you encouraged with my weekly newsletter full of faith-filled pep talks and outlines of what we're tackling each week on the show. So don't miss out. Head over to CatherineSeegers.com. That's CatherineSeegers.com, and subscribe today, because Christian parenting may be crazy, but you don't have to do it alone.
Yeah, so we have 5 core values that the Englands that define who we are. We are radically protective of quality time. We are prayerful in decision making.
Love that.
We have excellence in everything. We have enduring family unity, and we have unwavering integrity. And that's who we are. And the beauty of those is those become a framework through which you see the world, and a lens through which, or a lens through which you see the world, and a framework through which you make decisions.
Yes.
So for us, it's really easy to sit down at a dinner table and say, hey guys, we have all of these opportunities in the week. Now, we are radically protective of our quality time. So do we want to say yes to all of these commitments, or do we want to say yes to quality time and say no to some of these commitments? Because it gives you the ability to say, wait. There's a book about this. I've heard pastors say this: when you know who you are, you'll know what to do. And so, hey, if we have to define who we are first, then we can begin to go make decisions. So the quality time is a great example.
Yeah, that's a big
better. Most parents or families we hear like, oh, I just want to be a better parent or a better family, but better is not a target on the wall.
Not at
you can't
all.
hit better. And if one day you backslide, well, then you think you're never going to get better and all kinds of stuff. And you mentioned a little while ago, we don't want to be competitive in the family, but at the same time, it's natural for all of us to want to have a scorecard to know if we're moving in the right direction. Are we winning? Are we not winning? Am I headed where I want to be? And those core values create guardrails to protect the culture on who God created your family to be. Hey, these are the core values. And if we're staying in it, then we're moving in the right direction and we can move towards the vision that he's called us to have in the future.
Okay, so I have to ask, you developed these core values when your children were very young. Have they changed over the years or have they stayed the same?
Good question. So we came up with 12 years ago, and they were pretty close to the same. And then when my kids were 9 and 10, we went through the family ID workshop again. And we did it together as a family because we wanted their voices to be part of it.
Because that's what I was wondering, because, I've got my kids are 19 to 7. So going through those workshops now, they would have such an important voice because you gotta have buy-in by everybody. You can't have a value where one of them's like, no, I don't agree with protecting quality time or whatever it is, because if they're not buying into it, then they're not going to be able to live it out. And you're just going to have division in the family. But, and I'm sure a lot of them seem like great things to have, and you don't want to have too many because it gets too complicated. But if you have just like 5, like you said, then that really helps you navigate your days, your weeks. Okay, this is who we are. This is who God is. Not just.
That's right.
It's not who I've invented myself to be. It's who I've discovered God created me to be. That's so important because it has to resonate, because God has created you to be this family with a purpose in mind. So let's talk about some of the, I love this, some of these different types of families that you might be.
Yep. And so to your point, we've done the heavy lifting. And so on the assessment, it's simple questions. You answer, I agree or disagree, and it'll lead you through the process. And then anybody can invite their other family members to participate. And their other family members will take their own assessments, and our system will collect all of those and combine them and give one of 16 family types.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because we, I was a little jealous because you were on another show and she's like, oh, we all got the same one. I'm like, my husband and I took it and we see things differently, right? And we got 2 different family types. But I can see elements of both of them, certainly.
That's right.
And it comes down, because it's my personality looks at things differently than he does. And we'll get to what ours is and his is, but share with us what those family types are.
Okay, so there's 16. And they are those family types that prioritize identity are the collaborative, harmonious, reflective, and resourceful. And then we move over those that prioritize purpose, focused and generous, inventive and visionary. Those that prioritize direction are impactful, resilient, strategic, or trailblazing. And then those that are all about application, go, do, like, hey, put it into practice, are driven, empowered, evolving, and nurturing. And there is it is not a hierarchy of families. So there is no goal family. It is how your family, because if we believe that God knew us before the foundations of the world, then we have to believe that he handpicked people to be in your family for good or bad, for good days and bad days and challenges and joy. Like, hey, there's purpose in that. Yes. And so let's discover what that purpose is and really dig into it. And the assessment helps give common language to that and understand what your family type is. So then you can look for common cautions or ways to develop opportunities in your family to make it better.
And you even have each family's a different animal type too, just to kind of put some imagery to it. I thought that was really fun. Wait, share with us who your family is and what your animal is.
Okay, so we are the harmonious family.
Wait, let me just say this is not a spirit animal, okay? let's
No,
let's
this
just define
is
it. We're not talking about spirit animals here. We're just
totally
talking.
no, not about.
Anyway,
This is something fun that our team put together,
Yeah.
And just threw an animal on there that maybe exemplifies one of these characteristics.
some of those characteristics.
Just
Yeah.
a fun thing, right? And so we are the England family. We are the harmonious family. And so we prioritize identity, and that's understanding who we are and who God's called us to be, and making sure that relationships are strong and people feel empowered and heard and respected inside the family. And so, there are cautions with that, because it's really easy for us to get into an us for no more mentality. Hey, if we're so over focused on identity, we got to watch out for these things. And so each family type has different opportunities or threats that we have to watch out for. And these are just tendencies. This is not an overcast. This is just, hey, watch out for these things and be aware so that you can develop who you are. For the harmonious family, it's the elephant. The elephant is the mascot because it's all about important relationships and strong connections. And how long a child elephant stays with a parent is like 4 times as long as most animals in the wild, because it's all about relationships, and they stay together their whole lives in families and packs and move together. And that's, for Gina and I, one of our greatest dreams is to live near, close, next door to our kids, right? Because it's the funniest thing, Catherine. My kids, I enjoy them because they are a combination of my 2 favorite people, me and my wife. So they're a blast. I want to be around them, and I want to have great relationships with them for a long time.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. So drum roll. My family, according to my husband, was all the things you just described. He got harmonious family as well. So that's what he got. And I see a lot of those characteristics both in him and in our family. And by the way, okay, so you send out this little thing that kind of gives you those 4 core, how you scored on identity, purpose, direction, and application. But then you send this really long, healthy analysis of what each of those family types are when you get it. So now we're, I guess, a little bit of a split personality in our family. I was a very different type of family. I came out with the focused family, which, as I'm reading through this, passionate, intentional, persistent, check, check, check. Yes. And that is a lot of me. But see, here's the thing. That's who I am. And I'm putting that, I'm kind of, that's what I pour into my kids, because I'm very passionate. I'm very intentional about a lot of things. I'm very persistent. And, that I see that in a lot of my kids. And what's hilarious about this? Okay. I'm reading a book right now, You, Me, and Our ADHD Family, for an upcoming episode. And I'm kind of clueless. 3 of my kids have been formally diagnosed with issues dealing with ADHD, is primarily issues with focus. As am I. I'm reading the book and I'm like, how did I get to be as old as I am? And I didn't realize the reason why they struggle with this is because I do. But what we struggle with time and time again is focusing on the stuff that we're not so interested in: remedial math, phonics, laundry, and cleaning the kitchen, and many things like that. And so I struggle with focus in a lot of areas, but when it comes to those important things, those things I'm passionate about and intentional about and persistent with, I am hyper focused. Like Rome can be burning around me and I'm working on something in terms of something I'm writing or whatever, and I'm like zoned, and people laugh at me in the family. They're like, I'm so stinking focused. And I've noticed that in my kids too. And I had one kid, okay, get this. She's also diagnosed with ADHD, and she just didn't seem to have a passion for anything. And I was praying, like, God, help her to find that thing. And she did. Civil Air Patrol. Never imagined my husband and I were we didn't do ROTC or any of that kind of stuff. Civil Air Patrol is kind of like the arm of the Air Force for younger kids to get into. And she's gotten into that, and she's already flown a plane. She gets promoted every 2 months. She is like so intentional and focused on that. I've got one kid who's so focused on baseball. So I totally see this in our family and in our family dynamic and our personality. I am so excited to learn how do I then parlay that over into family intentionality, family focus, because I don't think we've cracked that nut yet. And I'm pretty sure as we go through that free online curriculum that you have, that we're going to be able to discover how to hone down exactly what our values are so we can fully live that out. So now, what age and up would you recommend doing that assessment for the family?
Great question. We have on the assessment, there are questions for adults and then questions for teens or preteens. So I would say, 9, 10,
Okay.
or older for the assessment and the masterclass are great. But I want to touch on something real quick that you said, because I think what you're saying is so key for so many families. And that is, hey, I've got a kid or myself. I'm just not, they don't have discipline, or they don't have passion, or they're just not focused, or like, how do I motivate them? And here's something that I'll steal from Greg, who's said it for a dozen years, is the key is you show me somebody who has a passion problem and they don't have a passion problem, or a focus problem. They don't have a focus problem. They have a vision problem, because vision creates passion, and then passion creates discipline. Like for us as a family, not but like for families, most families that I talk to, the thing they have the greatest vision for and the most passion and discipline is like a family vacation. I mean, they can get laser focused on a family vacation because they know exactly where they're going, when they're going, what they're going to do there, what they're going to wear, and they get so clear on that vision that it's all they focus on. And then they spend hours searching Airbnbs and rental cars and all the stuff, right? They're laser focused and they're disciplined about it. But if we can convert that into, hey, whoa, a vacation is incredibly important. Families should go on vacation and make memories and build relationships. But if we can steer that energy into having a vision for the family as a whole, hey guys, where's our family really going? Let's figure out where we're going, when we're going, how we're going to get there, what we're going to do when we're there. Now we have a vision for the future. Your daughter is passionate about the Civil Air Service or Civil Air Patrol because she has a vision for her in that. Or your son, he has a vision for himself of playing baseball at whatever the next level is. Oh, Mom, I want a fastball with a 2600 spin rate. Like they metric everything. And so there's a clear vision on exactly what the targets are that he needs to hit. And vision creates passion. Passion creates discipline. Discipline allows us to completely sell out.
You're absolutely right. And we don't have that for one of the most important things in life. That is the family. And I love your example of the vacation. I could have probably been a travel agent in another life because I love to plan out stuff like that. I can get very laser focused. I mean, I will spend like just hours and hours and comparing, okay, what's the best place to go and the best price and what are we going to do when we get there? And yeah, we don't do this with our family. And I love what you mentioned. Yeah, that was seriously, it was my kid that just didn't seem to get into anything. And then she found this, and it's so foreign to me because it's so opposite of anything myself, or that's what we were talking about, having that branch there, pouring into what that branch is supposed to be, not what I envisioned it to be. I named her Avonlea after Anne of Green Gables, and she doesn't really even like to read. All of my kids have literary names, and this one she's not really passionate about literature. And I'm like, oh my gosh, seriously, I gave you the best name. And, that's not what okay, we're going to do. But I love watching her in Civil Air Patrol because she's become more disciplined as a person. Like if she has to have her room cleaned to go to Civil Air Patrol, she gets it done. And then my son, you mentioned baseball. He already knows he's 9 years old. He wants to play for LSU. He wears, and we don't even live in Louisiana. And I've tried to tell him how hot and sticky it is there. And no, he wants to, I don't know why, but he's like, he knows so much baseball trivia and he knows everything, so much about the game, like incredible focus. when I look at this, I'm like, you're right. We are a very focused family, and we are a harmonious family. We live near my in-laws, and there's like, when we all get together, there's like 20 plus of us, and we do it all the time. Like all the time, because everybody's always got a birthday or some sort of celebration. We've got a baptism coming up. I'm so excited. Next weekend, my youngest is getting baptized. And so family's coming in town. And it's like, we are a harmonious family as well. We have those elements. So what you're saying is you have everybody in the family take it, and then you will assess the family as a whole to see, okay, this is what you most likely are.
The largest and first fully digital generation needs more than content. They need the gospel and a community of disciple makers. Reaching Generation Alpha by Shane Pruitt and Shelley Melia is a research-informed guide to help parents and leaders navigate the unique challenges of today's youth, including shifting worldviews, emerging technology and AI, mental health pressures, and declining church engagement. You'll find clear steps to model authentic faith at home and church, engage tough conversations with truth and grace, and mobilize kids to live boldly for Jesus. Whether you're parenting, pastoring, or teaching, Reaching Generation Alpha will equip you to reach the next generation with timeless truth in an ever-changing world. Available now wherever books are sold.
I'm Christy Graham, host of the show On the Ground with Samaritan's Purse, and I recently attended an infectious disease training and donned personal protective equipment alongside our staff who are preparing to serve at one of our Ebola treatment centers in the DRC.
This is really putting into perspective what our teams do.
Listen to this behind-the-scenes episode by searching On the Ground with Samaritan's Purse, wherever you get your podcasts. Again, that's On the Ground with Samaritan's Purse.
So inside the system, you'll have one parent take it or one person take it. And on the results page, there's an invite button, and they can invite everybody in the family, and it puts all of their scores into one family unit, and it combines it and spits out. And you can see everybody's individual results, and then you can see the collective average results at the very end. So one person lead, take the assessment, click the invite button, and email it to everybody. And then as they take it, the system will combine the scores and give a collective response.
That's really cool. So I've got my husband and myself have done ours. And so we could have some different results from different kids, right?
That's right. Yep. So you should be able to go back into your results. There should be a link in one of the emails. Click on it, click invite, send it to your kids, and let them participate in it and see because it will answer some of the questions of how they view the family. I mean, personal identity is a combination of just hardwiring. My kids, a daughter who's 15, a son who's 14, they were born 13 months apart, and they were the exact same size. I mean, exact same size, 7 pounds, 15 ounces, 20.5 inches long. But today, their personalities are vastly different. They've grown up in the same environment. Gina and I make clones as much as possible, but they're hardwired differently. And so identity is a combination of the way that we're hardwired and the environment that we're in and the way that we perceive things. And so for that assessment, invite them, and you'll get a snapshot or a peek behind the curtain about the way that your kids or children view the family, because there are questions on there like, hey, we meet regularly as a family, or we have traditions that are important, as well as I feel like I belong in my family. And you can't see individual answers, but you can see the scores, and it will provide some insight as to, hey, what are we doing? Where are we going? And give a collective answer, and then you can move together into that masterclass that, again, is totally free and will walk a family from zero to walking out with core values, mission statement, vision statement, and understanding this is what we need. And I'll take the pressure off. It won't be perfect at the end. It won't. I promise. It took Gina and I a couple years to nail down and clearly identify exactly who God created us to be. Because we know today, and my kids know today, that as in England, we are called to be a beacon of light and a pillar of strength to a dark and crumbling world. That's what we're called to be, a beacon of light and a pillar of strength. But we didn't land on that on day one. That took some time to develop. We had an idea of what God was calling us to do and who, but it doesn't have to be figured out today. But it is important to start today. I was telling you earlier, I originally heard it from Dave Ramsey. I don't know if it's his or not, but he said, the best time to plant a tree is 10 years ago. The second best time is today.
Yes.
And that's the way I feel about this family stuff is, hey, sure, we all wish that we could have invested in relationships previously, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago. But the best time to start is today. It's never too late. It's never too late as an adult to reach out to an adult child. As somebody in my 40s, hearing from my parents today that they love me and are proud of me, it's not lost. It is appreciated. It is incredibly appreciated. My father-in-law is one of the best at just simply saying, Garrick, you're a good dad. You do a good job. Sometimes you just need to hear it, and it's never too late to start that today and start those encouraging words.
Oh, thank you for that. That's beautiful. I think I had this vision of God when you were talking earlier, just like, you guys, this is, I've created this purpose for you. I discover it. So
Right.
much of what we have to do in the walk of faith with God it's a journey of discovery, of discovering who God created us to be, discovering who he created the family to be. And it is daunting to think about, because, you listen to that and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't have those 5 values yet. And I'm not exactly sure. I don't have that exact mission, a concrete mission statement. I probably, here I have a parenting podcast and you asked me that question. I'm going to be your deer in headlight response a little bit. I'll give you some kind of generic nebulous things, but it's not focused. It's not intentional. And where there is a lack of vision, we all know the verse, the people
perish. That's right.
Where there's a lack of vision for your family, maybe your family won't perish altogether, but it won't thrive. It's not going to be all that God intended for it to be. And so these are tools I'm so excited to be using. I'm really excited to get this assessment. And like I said, I was so impressed with the assessment. I'm reading through that. I'm like, this is really a lot of great information. You've got positive outcomes for my family of what can happen with my passion, persistence, and intentionality. And then, hey, look out here. You could be a little, have limited perspective. Dogmatism can be a part of that kind of family type, or commitment can become legalism. Prudence can become a judgmental attitude. So here's some places you need to make sure you're cautious. And then I love the impactful action. You give all of these amazing ideas of things that you could do. Let's do a financial planning game. Okay. Because we're a focused family. Let's try that. No trivia night, a cause worth cooking for. Like I don't like to cook, but we have to. My husband actually loves to, but yeah, let's try this. And it's, cook with a purpose. We did this actually during COVID. My husband came up with this really great idea. He's like, okay, pick a meal from another country, something that you'd like to try that you've never tried before. And one of the kids came up with schnitzel, and one of the kids came up with Vietnamese pho. That was really cool. And I can't remember. There were a few other ones. And I think I came up with at least 5 extra pounds from all of these wonderful suggestions. But we did that as a family and explored other countries. It was very, very focused and intentional on that. A nature scavenger hunt. That's another thing you got there. So all of this is amazing. I'm really excited. And I can't wait to go through that with our family devotionals to do those videos. So why don't you tell our families again where they can learn more about you and about Family ID?
Yep. Greatest place is the website, family-id.com, family-id.com. The assessment, there's a big blue button. You can click on it on the webpage, take the assessment. That'll lead you through the resource of the free video master classes there. You click on that, sign up for that. Again, The assessment and masterclass are totally free. We want to minister to families. We want families to be changed and to lead intentional lives together. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram. We have a pretty strong Pinterest game. I'm just saying, because of course, hey, Pinterest is all about resources. So we've created a ton of resources. One of the greatest things, and I'll leave you with this: don't make this daunting. Like, this is not some gigantic mountain that you have to climb and get it right. And if you miss your foot, you're going to fall. This is all about you and your family. So take it one question at a time, one night at a time, around dinner. Hey, what are we about? Hey, at dinner, turn to your left and say one of your favorite things about your brother or sister, your mom or your dad, whoever's sitting next to you. Say an encouraging thing about that. Hey guys, I've been thinking we really need to be blank. Fill in the blank, and then just start having a conversation about it. I love the idea of your husband picking meals from other countries. You know what? I would be willing to bet that those are some of your kids' greatest memories, because it was time spent together working on something, and it was relationship building. So it doesn't have to be some super duper ultra something. Just have conversations and live more intentionally today, and don't come home, flop on the couch, but instead go, okay, home is my greatest priority. How do I make it my greatest priority? And these people in the home, how do I love them? And how do I serve them and be the greatest servant I can possibly be inside my home?
As you were saying that, I just saw this, like, I bet a lot of healing takes place in this, doesn't it? So much. I know we've talked for a while, but do you have any stories of the healing that's taken place?
Oh gosh, yes, like there are kids that this is the first time that they feel like their voice is heard. We've gone into churches where we do seminars, and a kid's sitting around the table and they're participating and they get to choose their core values. And a parent will look and go, I had no idea you valued that. Well, yeah, I know. I don't show it. I don't do it a whole lot, but this is incredibly important to me. Or we ask them to write down some wins of the year. Hey, in the last 30 days, in the last 90 days, what are some greatest wins, things you want to celebrate? Let's make those milestones and Ebenezer stones so the future generations can see them as they pass, right? Like, what are some greatest wins? And kids will write it down, or parents will write it down. And in the seminar or in the masterclass, we talk about, hey, his needs, her needs. And there are some simple statements that, if you've ever heard the phrase, and I might not get it perfect here, but a unspoken appreciation or unspoken encouragement comes across as unappreciation, right? Mm-hmm. If you don't say that you appreciate somebody and you're thankful for them, they take it as though you are not. And so we give couples or families the opportunity to say that, because we want the home to be the greatest place of encouragement and support and love that it can possibly be. And if we're not intentional about that, we'll miss the mark. Yeah. And so it's not crazy daunting. It's just simple stuff. It's just a reminder of, hey, family is our greatest priority. Family is what God intended ministry to happen on a core basis. So let's live that out.
Mm-hmm. And this is our greatest ministry. I think most parents recognize that if we fail here, then it's a whole ball of wax, man. That's everything. That is everything. I confess. Yeah, I wish I'd started this 10 years ago. But the next best time to start that is now.
That's right. Today.
Just one more quick question. I'm sorry. I could pick your brain all day. But so in those videos, do you offer all of those kind of suggestions of, hey, try this at dinner and things, or is that somewhere else on the website?
Nope. Those are downloadable resources in the masterclass.
Perfect.
So it's full of activities to do together. And then on our social media, we often share a bunch of resources and tools. We're about to launch a free downloadable ebook. Hey, questions that every daughter needs answered, questions that every son needs answered, and how we answer those questions inside the home. Because every daughter, this is something Gina found an article a few years ago, is that the teenage girl questions her body image 14 times a day. 14 times a day on average. And so, hey, we inside the home, we need to answer that question for her 15 times a day.
Yep.
And so it's questions like these that kids need answered. And so we're constantly putting out resources like that on social media. But it's all in the masterclass, downloadable PDF. You can print it at home, fill in the blanks, go through it. You talked about the core values earlier. Yeah, it is hard to come up with core values on a blank slate. I mean, that's hard. But we give like 60 or 70 questions on the page, and all you have to do is circle them. Hey, I like these 10 or 15, and now let's narrow it down. And now let's narrow it down.
As a family.
Yep.
That's awesome. See, and then your kids buy into it. They've got skin in the game. They're like, I'm heard, this is important to me. And this is who we are as a family. It's not just important to me, but that they get to contribute to that process. I think it's beautiful. I love it. So it's family-id.com, right?
Correct.
Okay, I'm going to link all of that in the show notes, moms and dads. Take the free assessment for your family and go through this pre-course. I mean, like, seriously, why would you not do that? Okay, if your family is important to you, this is such an incredible resource. And I come back to that thing we were talking about earlier. There's so many things for the individual in the church, and yet we're really not looking at this, especially knowing how much the family is under attack. This is just one of those perfect ways to just reestablish, really make sure we've got a strong foundation in the family. And so I know we're going to do it in the Seegers household, and we're going to figure out what our core values are. I can't wait. I'm so excited. So excited. I cannot thank you enough for making us aware of our need for a family identity and showing us how to find it. Man, you've made it so easy for us. It seems like a daunting task, but I know that you're just going to lead us. You've got the breadcrumbs right in front of us. We just have to keep following.
That's it. One step at a time. One step at a time.
Oh, thank you so much, Derek. I think this is just really going to impact so many lives and transform so many lives. I love the work you're doing. Thank you for joining us to share with us your heart for the family, which is God's heart for the family, which is all of our hearts for the family. Thank you, Derek.
Thank you for having us.
And as always, remember, God gave you your kids, your specific kids, for a reason. That's because you hold the key to unlocking who God created them to be. We'll see you next time.
Christian Parent Crazy World is a production of Life Audio and Salem Media. If you liked what you heard today, please take a second to rate and review this podcast in your favorite podcast app so that more listeners like you can find the show. For more faith-filled, inspirational podcasts, visit us at lifeaudio.com.
The content we feed our minds will eventually show up in our lives. If we feed our minds the lies and confusion of this world, our lives will begin to reflect worldliness. But if we feed our minds the truth of the gospel, our lives will start to reflect the heart and character of Jesus. I'm John Stange, and each week I host the Dwell on These Things podcast, where we take a deep look at the Word of God and learn what it means to apply it to our lives. We don't skip difficult passages, and we don't gloss over the truth. If you're looking for a show that will put your mind in a better place and help you understand God's Word with more clarity, you can listen to the Dwell on These Things podcast at lifeaudio.com or on your favorite podcasting app.
I'm Mark Vinette, host of the Historical Jesus podcast, which presents the new series, Miracles, focusing on biblical miracles from the Old and New Testament. Join me on the Historical Jesus podcast as I explore the interesting, compelling, intriguing, and wonderful miracle stories of the Bible and the many great miraculous events inspired by the words and deeds of Jesus Christ.